I left school in 2000 and immediately started to work. I was fortunate to work for a guy who owned a little family firm fixing Victorian power press machines. Everything went well until he started being a bleep and started bullying me about bit, and I thought bleep that I'm off. So I put forward to work an apprenticeship for a company building armed plate cars and ambulances. But it was July, and they wouldn't take me on until September, as we had to enroll in college first. So having nothing to do, a family friend offered me some labor work over in a small seaside village in Wales called Barmouth. I thought, well, summer will be a drag, and it was a chance to get some money and get away from living at my mom's. We set out on a Monday morning and got straight to work, converting an old shop window into a new living room for a customer's holiday home. Everything was going amazing. We started about 8 a.m. and finished at 4 p.m. Every day it was bliss. In my downtime, I was encouraged to go out and enjoy my downtime by hitting local bars and a nightclub, which I think was called Barry's. This is where I met the first love of my life. Over the next 6 weeks we hung out, met new friends, had plenty of drink snobs, and all done all the things young adults do when falling in love. Unfortunately, though, summer was coming to an end, and so was the building work. The girl I met was surely to be a fragment of my imagination soon, but that wasn't to be. She lived in Birmingham and I lived in Walsall, and we kept the relationship going. By October we were with each other constantly, and her parents had taken a liking to me and offered me a trip back to Barmouth to stay at their beautiful cottage, which I accepted in a heartbeat. So about a week later, on a Friday evening, we hot-tailed it to Barmouth. I'd never actually seen the cottage, but she did tell me it was old, like very old, and the rafters were built by an old sea captain who on retirement used the wood from his boat to build the cottage. What she didn't tell me was how isolated the cottage was. We approached Barmouth, and as we came towards town we took a right into a car park and opened a gate and started up this hilly cliff face. There was a normal one-track road. If you have been to Wales you'll know what I mean. Eventually we came to a farm. My girlfriend at the time said, "Oh, this is Mum's friend. They've been good friends for ages. I'm sure something is going on between the farmer and Mum." Anyway, we went past that and headed further up. I think it was a 10-minute journey, as eventually we started on just a dirt track. We finally reached the cottage, and I remember thinking it was one of the most beautiful, picturesque places I've ever seen. Old 1500 style bow walls and roof with a view of hills, trees, and a dainty stream running at the side of it where you had to collect your water. That night after we settled down, her mom said, "I'm going away with the farmer into Chester tonight to a auction. You guys have fun," and away she went. So we decided we'd take a trail down into town to meet some of the friends we had made over summer. Now the nights were starting to draw in cold and dark pretty quick, so we planned a quick drink and to walk back before dark. After a few hours with friends, we all decided to go to the cottage as we were having a lot of laughs. We headed to the car park from earlier that day and started our way up the hill. We knew it would take 30 minutes to get up there, but a few drinks in hand, a cigarette, and good friends, the time would fly right. Well, as we started up, one of the members of the group said, "Wonder where he's going." We all turned around and saw right back in the distance a black figure. Nothing out of the ordinary, but they were really far back, so we ignored it thinking it was a dog walker or hiker. Anyways, about 5 minutes later, one of the guys said, "Geez, he's caught up quick," and we could see a guy all in black, long hair, just powering up behind us. We thought, let's up the pace as it's getting dark, and he kind of looked shifty, but then he disappeared, and all the way up the side of the mountain we felt like we were being trailed and watched, although to our left it was a drop. We could see everything. To our right was steep uphill gradients and boulders, etc. Odd shrubs. You know, something felt off, like really off, when you get an ounce of panic or dread. We picked up pace and could see the cottage like a stone's throw away, so we clambered in as quick as we could and bolted the doors. We all looked at each other, and one of the guys said he was gonna have us, I think, but I think we all put it down to imagination. He was probably a hiker, right? Now it's getting dark, and if you've ever been in Wales at night, it can be a different dark. Not like the dark we get in Walsall. Pitch black. Someone suggested we forget about it and play Monopoly. There wasn't a TV, and it was WAP back then, so no internet. We started playing, and I think the time was about 10 p.m.-ish when someone got up to make a drink and looked out the window to see a silhouette of the guy looking at the cottage by a tree. They shouted us in the kitchen, and we all saw him standing, looking about 4 meters away. We closed the curtains and checked all the windows fast, grabbed a few weapons, and all sat quiet in the middle of the lounge. It started with scratching at the windows and little taps, then rattling of furniture outside. The windows were thin. We could hear every noise. He or it was circling the cottage. We were scared, quite huddled up together, wondering what it was. We didn't speak, just listening to each other breathing. It went quiet for about 5 minutes. We said, "Has he gone?" "What?" Then a mighty bang on the front door, over and over like he was ramming the door. It wouldn't end. Went on for about 20 minutes. It started walking around the cottage again, trying windows, but now it sounded animal-like. I think it sounded like a pig crossed with a dog or something. The door started banging again. Then silence. We didn't sleep all night, but never heard his sound again. We never spoke to each other and waited until light. We heard two voices outside. In the morning we knew it was her mom and farmer. We ran outside still frightened, couldn't see any evidence of last night, not even a scratch to the door. We told her mom and the farmer. They laughed and the farmer said was it a full moon and drove away. We walked toward the trail to say goodbye to our friends and saw a sheep that looked like it had been attacked. Recently it was dead entrails hanging out, but the farmer said it's probably a fox attack or something. I never went back to the cottage, not that I didn't want to, but my ex went to uni and I ended up joining the army. We broke up. I think about that night a lot. Thanks for reading, take what you will from it. If anyone wants to know cottage location, I'm happy to share via